What is up, Flick fans, and welcome back to my channel and this monumental video. I'm like, I want to rank my summer movies. Every movie that I watch from the beginning of the summer to the end, whether it's a blockbuster or independent film or whatever it is, as long as it was released in the theater, and that is the criteria, and I saw it in a theater between that few month span, then I am counting it on this list. So when you say summer movie, you automatically think blockbuster. Well, I'm going a different direction slightly, but I'll still have the blockbusters in there, and there are 28 movies that I have seen this summer in the theater, so I'm not counting any of the Netflix films, on demand, Amazon, anything like that, or if I saw it after it was in theaters. And I know you may not have seen 28 movies this year, but please, I want to see your lists in the comments. Let me know what are your favorite movies of the summer, what are the blockbusters, the independent films right now. Since this video is going to be so long, let's get right into it at number 28. So at 28, I saw this movie in the theaters, and I really wish I did not. It is probably going to be in my worst films of the year once we get to the end of the year, but we are talking about a movie called Action Point. This was Johnny Knoxville. It was a whole bunch of stupid, and I really did not enjoy my time in the theaters. The only part that I really enjoyed was the end credits, because you could see how much fun they had filming this movie, and Johnny Knoxville, as much as I hated this film, you cannot fault the guy for continuing to do what he does best, because really, if you look at it, he's an awesome dude, and he does these things to entertain people. It's just this movie, it didn't do that. Next up, so I have seen 94 movies in total this year. If you guys want to see my full list, it's on Letterboxd. You can go on there, follow me, check it out, whatever. But the most recent movie that I saw, or big blockbuster-wise, is The Meg. And I don't think it's going to be in my top 10 worst of the year, because the majority of the bad films that I've seen this year have been before the summer started or on Netflix, but The Meg is just a very big disappointing blockbuster. Starring Jason Statham, so it has that going for it, but it just didn't work on that fun, action-y B-movie level that I wanted it to. If you guys want to see my thoughts, go check out my review, but yeah, it's pretty low on my list. Next up, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson starring in Skyscraper. This was a very disappointing movie. Now, I didn't have a horrible time in the theater, but I can't get it to that level of, oh, it was fine, because it really wasn't fine. I didn't buy the level of cheese. I didn't buy a lot of things about it. The only thing I bought was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and he's good in everything. Another movie that really disappointed me, and that is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and the more I think about this movie, the more I'm just like, it just didn't really work. I gave it a score that was close to fresh, probably closer to fresh than I should have given it, but it is really one of the most disappointing movies I have definitely seen all year. And that second act, man. Denzel Washington is back in The Equalizer 2, a film that really disappointed me as a whole. Now, he is great, and there are elements that are great, scenes in particular, but as a movie, it just didn't really work for me, especially when you compare it to the first one. It's fine, but I'm not going to recommend you guys go out and see it, even though it's probably already out of theaters. Up next, the first movie on this list that I actually had a pretty good time with, and that is Hotel Transylvania 3. I enjoy this movie about as much as the other ones. Now, that's not saying it's fantastic or anything, and it's not going to blow your mind, but if you have kids, you should check it out. If you've liked the other two movies, you should check it out, and I would say you might have a few laughs or two. You're going to look at this and say, Austin, but you gave this a higher score than some of the other movies on your list. Well, I'm ranking my favorites, and when I look back on these films, I'm like, okay, how much fun did I have here? How much fun did I have here? And I didn't really have a lot of fun with Adrift. I just acknowledged that I think it was a well-made movie with good performances. It's not super memorable, but Shailene Woodley absolutely gave one of the best female performances I have seen all year, so that it has to count for something. Yes, I gave this movie a 68, and it's this low on my list, but that doesn't mean it's bad. There was just a lot of pretty good movies this summer. And then we have Teen Titans Go to the Movies, a film that I thought I would absolutely hate, and I ended up having a good time with it. It's like a Deadpool for kids. Now, it's not necessarily a movie for me entirely, because there were far too many jokes for kids and poop jokes and whatnot for me, but you know what? I will acknowledge that it was pretty good, better than I thought it would be, and way better than the TV show. My first controversial movie on this list, and that is a film that I did not review on this channel. I did on Stardust and Letterboxd, and that is Sorry to Bother You, a movie that everyone is clamoring over, one of the best of the year, and it's not even in my top 15 movies of the summer. It's not a film that I hated. I liked it. There were elements that I really liked about it, but when that twist happens, you guys know if you've seen the movie, and things go crazy in that third act, I didn't really buy it. I didn't really like it as much as I did the rest of the movie. So me. Next up, Uncle Drew. I barely gave this movie a fresh score when I first saw it, but that doesn't mean I didn't like it. I actually had a really good time in the theater, and the more that I think about it, the more I acknowledge that it might be a guilty pleasure, but it's just a fun basketball movie with not very good performances and not a very good story, but the directing and the chemistry between the actors is there, and I had a really good time. I'm a basketball fan, so I enjoyed it. I will keep my score at 60 because I acknowledge it's not the best movie ever, but hey, guilty pleasure. At number 17 is Tag, starring really Jeremy Renner because he was the standout performance, even though it has this magnificent cast. A lot of good performances in this movie. It's a well-shot and well-done comedy with a cliched story and a plot that you can kind of figure out what's going to happen by the end, but you know what? I had a good time in the theater. It's not the most well-made comedy of the year, but it's a decent summer flick. At number 16 is a pretty recent movie, and yeah, I actually had a really good time with this film, and that is Crazy Rich Asians. Now, I think I'm releasing this video on Sunday, and at this point, this movie still hasn't opened, so this is a film that a lot of you guys haven't even had the chance to see yet, and I will say this, it's a fun time, it's a pretty daggone good rom-com, it's shot well. Yes, there are some issues with the story, but you can go watch my review for those. Overall, I think it's a movie worth watching. At number 15, I'm a Star Wars guy. I'm going to put Solo on the list, and I hate to put it this low being such a big Star Wars fan, but I can't say it's the best movie ever because it really wasn't. There were flaws, but there were also things that I really like. I think Alden Ehrenreich did a really good job. I like his chemistry with Chewbacca. I like elements of the story. There were problems that I had for sure, but overall Solo is a fun time, even though it doesn't hit that level that people wanted it to, in my opinion. Sicario, Day of the Soldado is next on my list, and a lot of people just did not like this movie flat out, and I completely understand that. It's a dark tone, Denis Villeneuve is not back, it's a very different direction than the last one, but I like the directions, and I really like some of the elements of the movie that I think work on a level, and that level is elevated by Benicio del Toro and Josh Brolin. Performances that are great all around. Yes, I have problems with the plot and where it goes, and especially the third act didn't work as well as the first two acts, but I still think it's a solid sequel, just not near as good as the first. And then we come to Christopher Robin. Yes, I am a fan of this movie. I had a good time in the theater. It's nothing magnificent or monumental, but the performance by Ewan McGregor was really good, and that's only elevated by his chemistry with the entire animated CGI. Some of the best CGI I've seen all year. Cast in Pooh and ER and Tigger and Piglet. They're all really good. I love the voice performances. The story is typical, and you can see where it's going from a mile away, but that doesn't mean I didn't have a good time in the theater, because I did. Sorry I'm talking so fast, I'm trying to fly through this. Next up is a MCU movie, and that is Ant-Man and the Wasp. I had a good time with Ant-Man and the Wasp. The more I think about it, the more I can see the plot holes and things happening in the third act where I'm like, oh, okay, where did that come from? Why is that going on? But that doesn't take away from the humor of the story, how good Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly are, and the elements that made me crack up so hard in the theater both times I saw it. It holds up on rewatch. Ant-Man and the Wasp is fun. There's just a few plot holes that I couldn't forgive. Next up, too, we are moving up to the next tier of greatness, and that is Deadpool 2. I had a blast with this movie in the theater. I almost got it to an 80% with my score. I couldn't quite get it there, but that doesn't take away from the time that I had. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, that joke worked, that joke worked. Now, you think back to some of the convolutedness with the story, and I don't think a lot of that holds up for me, but I have watched it twice, and I'm planning on watching it again here in a few days. Both times I've watched it, I've had a blast. Even though I don't like it as much as the first one, I still think it's a worthy sequel. We enter my top 10, and that starts with Charlize Theron giving us one of the best performances of the year, men or women, and that is Tully. Such a great movie and a representation of why it's going to be very difficult to have children. Oh my goodness, this film scared the crap out of me. Scarier than probably any horror movie I have seen in a long time. And no, in all honesty, guys, this is a really good movie with great performances all around, all of our leads, all of the side characters. There are some pacing issues, and it does really slow down at times, but overall, Tully is a really good time, especially if you watch it with your family. One of the coolest and most original sci-fi movies of the year. This thing is probably like my most unexpected, wow, that movie was great, and that is Upgrade, a story that started out, I'm like, okay, I know exactly where this is going, and I didn't really know because it took so many turns and directions, a great third act, really cool action scenes, and some great performances, especially by our lead, Logan Marshall Green. This movie's worth watching. You guys should check it out. Now we come to the most recent movie on my list, and that is BlacKkKlansman. Guys, I think this movie is something special. A lot of people aren't going to give it a chance. I'm not going to reiterate this, but if you have a chance, go and watch this. It's such a cool story with great actors. You have the son of Denzel Washington and Adam Driver. The performances, the filmmaking, everything works. Go check it out. I said Tully was scary, well, that was a joke, but Hereditary is scary. This film is not a jump scare kind of movie. It's very artsy, and some people aren't going to like that, but the way this builds tension and the directing by Ari Aster is just something out of this world. I thought this movie is great, and one of the best performances I have seen in a long time in any horror movie in Toni Collette. And a lot of people aren't talking about Alex Wolff, but you should talk about him. He's great. Now, this is the highest score I have given a movie all year, and I do still think this might be the best and most well-made movie of the year, but that doesn't mean it's my favorite, and that is Won't You Be My Neighbor? Yes, right, the definition of a summer film. No, this documentary is incredible. It's really the first documentary in a long time that I have watched in theaters. It was worth every penny and more. This thing is amazing. It's emotional. It brings out everything that you could possibly imagine from your soul. If you guys haven't watched it, please find it on demand when it comes out, and please check it out. I really hope this thing doesn't move out of my top 10 of the year, but it is definitely in my top 10 of the summer. That is American Animals. This movie is so cool and different and unexpected. I went in thinking, oh, it's going to be another movie. I'm going to give it like a 6 or a 7. It's going to be okay. No, I did not get this thing a 6 or a 7. This is one of the best films, one of the most well-made movies, a combination of true story and fake story, and they blended it so well. Great performances, especially by Evan Peters. Guys, if you haven't watched American Animals, please check it out, and it takes place in my hometown, Lexington, Kentucky. Oh, I just gave away my location. Another movie that I love, and I genuinely want to watch it again because I only watched it twice in theaters. Not twice, I know, but I wanted to watch it again. That's Incredibles 2. Incredibles 2 was incredible. The first one's one of my favorite movies of all time. This sequel measured up, and that is so rare. It is so close to the level of quality of the first one. I still like that one a lot better because of nostalgia, but as a movie, Incredibles 2 is so well done. A bit predictable, but that's really my only main flaw. I keep preaching to people, you have to go see Mission Impossible Fallout. It is one of the best movies, action movies of the decade. And they're like, oh, I haven't seen the other one. Listen, I don't care if you've not seen the other ones. If you haven't seen Mission Impossible Fallout, you're missing out on some of the best filmed action and some of the hardest punches and some of the coolest sound effects and sound design that I have seen in years. And Tom Cruise, he's always running, man. He's running everywhere. Oh, I love Bo Burnham. I love Bo Burnham, one of my favorite comedians on the internet in his Netflix series. And then he comes out with this random movie called 8th Grade. And I'm like, it's gonna be fun. No, it's not fine. This movie is phenomenal. This is the second highest score I've given this year because I think this movie is like a perfection from a technical level. But from a narrative standpoint, it's so important, especially if you have kids that are going into high school or are even in high school. It's a cool movie, it's interesting, and it's hilarious. Please go check out 8th Grade. Do I have to even say it? Because if you have watched any video of mine up to this point, you know that Truth or Dare is my favorite movie of the millennium. It's Avengers Infinity War. I'm not saying Avengers Infinity War is a masterpiece from a filmmaking perspective or it's this perfectly crafted movie with all of this important technical stuff. No, it's the culmination of what we have loved of the MCU for the last 10 years, and it brings that together in a beautiful way. You have the Russo brothers' direction combined with great performances. Josh Brolin's performance as Thanos is still one of my favorites of the year, guys. I don't have to keep talking about this movie because I'm sure it'll pop up on another little list at the end of the year, but if we're talking summer action blockbusters, then this is the prime definition of what it means to have a movie come out and impact you that much. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. What is your list and how does it differ from mine? Did you like movies that I didn't like or vice versa? Please comment down below, like this video so I can do more lists. I have a very special Netflix countdown coming soon, so be on the lookout for that, and I'm working on the question and answer video. I know I'm working on it. You guys are the absolute best, and I'll catch you later.